He built the solution to a $50 million problem. But the executives at Apex Industries didn't see a genius. They saw a stereotype. For the third time, they passed him over, promoting a less qualified man. David was being professionally erased. But he held a secret, a design so powerful it could save the entire company from collapse. And the day was coming when the very men who ignored him would be begging for his help. What would he do when the people who broke him needed to be saved? David's mind was built for solutions. From a child taking apart radios to a top graduate, he spoke the clean, honest language of mathematics and physics. Landing a job at Apex Industries felt like arriving. This was his promised land. He became a structural engineer, a quiet force in the energy division. While others played office politics, David's world was one of complex schematics and a revolutionary turbine cooling system. He believed in one simple rule: merit wins, and for a while, it seemed true. His reviews were flawless, but then the pattern emerged, a pattern he desperately tried to ignore. In meetings, his ideas would land in silence, only to be resurrected minutes later by a colleague named Mark, who was met with enthusiastic praise. Then came the promotion. The senior engineer role was his. The data proved it. But it was given to Mark, a charismatic but mediocre engineer who was a master at echoing the boss, Mr. Higgins. The feedback was a gut punch. You need more visibility, David. Build more rapport. It was a code he couldn't crack. He was trapped behind an invisible wall, watching his career stall in the reflection of Mark's new glass office. The betrayal was a fuel. David channeled his fury into a secret project he called the Sigma Protocol. It was a masterpiece, a design that would boost turbine efficiency by 18% and save millions in waste. It was his silent rebellion. He worked through the night, his screen glowing with irrefutable data. This was his proof. He finally pitched the concept to his manager. The response was a patronizing smile. "It's a creative hunch, David, but we don't gamble with company reputation." A hunch. Months of work dismissed as a guess. The message was clear. His judgment was inherently untrustworthy. The consequences of ignoring him were catastrophic. Apex won a massive contract, and Mark's team used the old, flawed system, the very one David had warned would fail. He sent urgent memos, flagged the critical design flaws. He was ignored. Then, during a high-stakes test, disaster struck. A coolant line exploded. The testing bay was flooded, $500,000 in damage. The multi-million-dollar contract was hanging by a thread. Panic shot through the building like a lightning strike. The board was in an uproar. The company was facing ruin. In the emergency board meeting, Mr. Higgins was pale, sweating. "We need a miracle right now, or this company is finished," he yelled. All eyes swung to Mark, who shrunk in his chair, utterly useless. The room was thick with the smell of failure, and David sat in the back, completely still. In his bag was the Sigma Protocol. The miracle they were begging for was in the hands of the man they had thrown away. Would he use it? The silence was a tomb. David looked at their terrified faces, the faces of the men who had stolen his ideas and his future. A part of him screamed to let it all burn. But he thought of the janitors, the assistants, the thousands of people who would lose their jobs. His work was meant to build, not destroy. He stood. The sound of his chair scraping the floor was like a gunshot. Every head turned. "Mr. Higgins," David said, his voice calm and sharp, "I have the solution, the Sigma Protocol." Higgins's face twisted in irritation. "Your hunch? This isn't the time for—" "It was never a hunch." David's voice cut him off, cold and final. He walked to the front, plugged in his drive, and his schematics exploded across the giant screen. For 5 electric minutes, he didn't ask. He showed. He unleashed a torrent of data, simulations, and hard physics, proving exactly how his design would not only fix their disaster, but prevent it from ever happening again. When he finished, You could hear a pin drop. The panic in the room had been replaced by a stunned, humiliated awe. Higgins stared, his mouth slightly agape. The invisible man was now the only man who mattered. The hierarchy in the room had just been vaporized. The Sigma protocol was implemented in record time. It worked perfectly. The contract was saved. Apex Industries was hailed as an innovator. The board, in a cold corporate fury, forced Higgins into retirement. Mark was demoted. David was offered the senior engineer role, a massive bonus, and control of the project. But his real victory wasn't the title or the money. It was the silence that fell when he walked into a room, a silence of pure, undeniable respect. The glass wall was gone. He took the promotion, but on his own terms, creating a new system to judge ideas by their merit, not the skin color of the creator. David's story is a warning. Modern racism isn't always a scream. It's a quiet dismissal in a boardroom. It's a promotion given to the right fit. It's a brilliant idea called a hunch until the company is on its knees. So we have to ask, how many Davids are in your office right now? How many world-changing ideas are being ignored because of hidden bias? The next time you see a colleague being sidelined, you must ask yourself one question. Are you watching a performance issue, or are you, silently, complicit in a system that values conformity over genius? The cost of that silence is a tax on us all, and as Apex Industries learned, that bill always comes due.